Hello and welcome to Anatomy of Us, a show dedicated to bringing real help to real couples. I'm your host, Melanie Studley.
What's up, guys? My name is Seth Studley. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and together we are high-performance marriage coaches.
We are cutting through the bullcrap and creating a movement of happy, healthy, badass couples all over the world.
Let's go! If you're joining us today, we have over hundreds of episodes on marriage, faith, sex, kids, everything. So welcome to the show. We're going to dive right in.
Yes, we are. So we are answering a listener question today. It says, help, my husband has a drinking problem and it makes me disgusted. My husband has a drinking problem, but he doesn't see it that way. We were partiers when we met, and I used to think it was awesome to get S-faced and pass out drunk pretty much every single night. But now I hate it. I quit drinking 3 years ago, and he hasn't even slowed down. I'm not trying to judge his lifestyle, but seeing him drunk almost every night and hearing him talk to me in a drunken and disapproving stupor has made him deeply unattractive to me. He says very unkind things to me when he is drunk, but he does not remember them. He feels so out of control to me and unloving that I just want to run away, but I can't. To make matters worse, he wonders why I don't want to be intimate with him anymore. Like, why would I want to kiss someone who uses that same mouth to tear me down to shreds when he is drunk? I feel completely stuck. Do I leave? Do I ask him to stop drinking? Is that even fair? I am so unhappy in my marriage, and the last thing I want to do is kiss or cuddle with someone who won't even stop drinking to save our marriage. How do I get him to see this? Will he ever listen to me? What do I do? Thank you for everything that you do, and I hope you can help me out. Sincerely, MJ.
MJ.
Thank you, MJ, for writing that.
I had a friend in high school named MJ, and he would do anything. He was crazy. Be like,
Mary J.
MJ.
Blige?
No, not Mary J. Blige. He'd be like, I bet you $10 you won't drink that bottle of Texas Pete. That is all you had to say.
So your friend wrote in?
All you had to say was, I bet you won't. And he's like, oh, yeah?
Oh,
Let me show up and show out. And it was
that's
hilarious.
one way to live.
But anyway, yeah. So, side note.
But thank you for
let me see
writing
that
in.
question again.
Sure.
I think one of the last things, I'm going to kind of go in reverse here, but one of the last things was, and I think a lot of people feel this way based on people we talk to and the questions we get, and I would say kind of how the culture is going right now. This sentence. Well, let me find
Where
it.
is this?
Come on, readers. Do
What-
your
What
reading
is the
thing.
sentence?
I feel completely stuck. Do I just leave? Do I ask him to stop drinking? That question right there makes. Of course, there's other stuff.
Or
obviously.
doesn't it say like, can I even do that or something? Do I
Yeah,
ask him to drinking? Is that even fair?
Is that even fair? So then I'm so unhappy in the marriage, and the last thing I want to do is kiss or cuddle, blah blah, not blah blah blah, but ... etc.
Yeah.
Yes, you can ask him. Yes, if there's, you're married, right? You're together, like you share stuff, finances, a shared space, a house, bills, dreams, vacations, sex. You can definitely, I feel strongly, tell me if you agree, that it is within your right as a wife or within your right as a husband to say things that are on your mind that you want to be different.
Right.
Now, if you're like, I wish you were blonde and, 3 inches taller, okay, well, that's, maybe you can change your hair color or whatnot, but you know what I'm saying? So it's like, because if you were doing something that deeply affected me, I would be remiss not to tell you. Right? At some point, it's like, Seth, you haven't said anything about it. So how would I know? Whatever, right? So I hope that this lady feels empowered enough to say, wait a minute. You're complaining why we don't have sex or aren't Sorry, there's Mike picked
Reeve
up.
is going to be so mad at you.
Well, how do we look at each other and talk like that?
You just like that.
Okay.
Like this.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, if there's something that is keeping me from connecting with you, wouldn't you want to know? Like, would you consider me?
Or even something, I want to change that. So the connected with you part, I almost said I don't care about that. I care, but it is not a motivator for me. So like, if there was something, I'm just going to use this example. So let's say that you were drinking. You're not, but let's say that you were. Let's just use us in this as though it is us.
All right.
So I stopped drinking. I can see the benefits of it. I can see how your continuing to drink has created issues in our marriage. It's not just about like, oh, drinking is stopping us connecting.
Mhm.
It's like drinking is having a global impact on all of the things that we do together. Like
Right.
it is
It's
impacting.
not just one thing.
Yeah, it's not just connecting. And I think when I hear you say connecting, I think what you're meaning is intimacy from this question.
That is one of them. That's not the primary
Right,
thing
okay.
on my mind. But it's like, oh, I don't want to hang out.
Mhm.
You're drunk. You say mean things.
Right.
You
Well, I mean, let's put it in any other context either. It's like, what if this is shoplifting and not drinking? Like, I don't want to go places because you might shoplift. You are probably lying to me and you're doing these things that aren't appropriate and they're not kind. And we know studies show that they're not healthy. Like, really, this person writing in, MJ, Miss Jones, is really saying, I don't know why that made me laugh, Miss Jones, is really saying, I want health in my marriage and I don't have it.
right.
Is it okay for me to say that I want health in my marriage?
I want to empower this lady and whoever is listening. If you want health, then it is absolutely okay to say that. What if you and I were 800 pounds each and I said,
Then we could have a TV show. My 800-pound marriage.
then we could
My
get,
1,600-pound marriage.
we could get famous, right? What if that was us and
Uh-huh.
I was like, oh
I
my
don't want to
gosh,
live like this anymore.
I am not attracted to you.
Mhm.
I don't want to be around you. All you want to do is eat.
You cracked yourself up.
That got my goozle. It would be very appropriate for me to say, hey, I want this for us.
Mhm.
Let's look at some changes that you might need to make.
Sorry, it's just funny
What?
that you made yourself laugh, and now I'm laughing about you making yourself laugh.
You're laughing because I laughed.
Yes.
That's how laughter works, which is
right.
funny. Laughter
Well,
is contagious.
And I, yeah.
So let me finish the thought. I want to empower this lady and other people to be able to speak up and not, I don't know, lady, are you scared of hurting your husband's feelings? Are you scared for massive pushback on it? Because I was talking to a client this morning and that quote that Dr. Corey Allen said, which we've heard before, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Well, he doesn't say that. He says
He
how you
doesn't
do
say
sex
it.
is how you do life.
Right. But okay, yeah. But the concept of how you do anything is how you do everything.
Mhm.
And this lady is probably not talking about a whole lot of other stuff
Mhm.
in the marriage. You know what I'm saying? And it's
Maybe. I mean, and this is where it's challenging because I am never like, oh, is it fair to ask him to not drink? Oh, geez, sorry. My tiger ring went flying. I never think of, is it fair to ask him to not drink? So I don't have that filter.
Mhm.
So for me, when you say like, maybe she's not talking about other things, well, she probably isn't. If she's worried about talking about this one thing, there is a good chance that she's not talking about other really important things because maybe it's like a personality thing or like she's not a bold person or a whatever, where I would be like, F yeah, we're going to talk about this. This is a problem.
Mhm.
This is impacting. I mean, in my situation, we've got 3 children that if you were drinking, this impacts them.
Right.
It's not just me. So I would be like ready to go to blows at bat. What's the thing you fight? I go to blows.
At bat?
Go to blows? Is that what it is?
Go to blows.
I would be ready to step into the ring
Ring.
for that because I think it's important. I know it's important, right? And even, I don't know, I just have like loads of thoughts around that. But
Mhm.
but I do want to say maybe it's also that she's told him this before and he's like, F you idiot. Maybe that's how he is. Maybe Mr. J.
Were they drunk when they
Mm.
said F you idiot? Or was it because there's a thing about addressing conflict. John Gottman talks about it in all the relationship. We've talked about it 1,000 times. Okay, when there's a conflict, when you're flooded or when emotions are flying, that is not usually the time to bring up something, oh yeah, and you always XYZ,
Right.
and I'm so pissed at this,
Right.
right? Because you're not going to hear it. It's going to come off as me being a jerk or you being a jerk saying it. So it's like okay, in this instance,
Yeah.
when everybody's sober, right? Not like on a Friday night when you like expect to have some drinks or something like that.
Right.
Everybody's sober. So maybe it's on a Saturday morning
At 10 a.m.
at 10 a.m. or something,
Right.
right? That is when you talk about it. Hey, I've been thinking about this in the landscape of our marriage. I don't know. I would suggest that this person do the about said landscape sandwich, AUM sandwich of it. tell some things that you like about the marriage.
Sedimentary level.
Right. Igneous rock and sandstone.
That's all we can think of. Those
Right.
three.
Yeah, no. Porous.
Obsidian?
Ooh,
Okay, enough.
I like
The
obsidian.
AOM.
The
sandwich.
AOM sandwich. Just say something nice. A handful. Hey, thank you for having a good job.
Right.
Thanks. That's great. Your growth mindset or whatever. And there's something that I really want to talk about that has affected our marriage. Now, I want you to be able to hear me say this because as we can talk about it, you will probably get more of what you want.
Mm-hmm.
That connection, emotional and physical, that sense of increased well-being and not just drinking all the time and numbing it out. Right? So, AOM sandwich, say something nice, address the full issue and be empowered and don't be scared to say, is this, because what if I put this in another frame? Like, I don't know if you and me have different views of marriage or not than other people. What's so funny
It
about
just
that?
sounded funny. You said it. Yeah.
Our parents are married, have been married for a long time. Do
Not
they
to each other. We're siblings. Keep on.
Rabbit. Ow!
What happened?
I just hit my knee.
Oh, jeez.
Anyway, what was I saying?
Different under like views of marriage.
Different. You and I have, I believe, fairly similar views of marriage. Like, okay, we work together. We share bank accounts. We sleep in the same bed. We know the things to do to have a decent marriage.
Oh, you bring up a very good point. That's almost, it should be its own episode almost. Like
Should I save my thoughts for a new episode?
No, not necessarily, but that should definitely be a thing we talk about. We established from before we even dated that we wanted to get married, by the way. And we established a handful of things that are like, we sleep in the same bed. Like that is a part of our, like we've had conversations about these things. Like, is it right to do this or that? And we're like, no, we prefer this. And so we've had a lot of those conversations openly that, you know what I'm talking about? Like, I don't think we've had like, should we sleep in the same bed conversation.
Yeah, I don't remember that ever, but.
Not specifically that, but things like
a shared bank account,
yeah,
for sure.
like a shared bank account.
That was early on. Is like, well.
And like, do I stay home and raise the kids? Yes. Like that's a thing we want. That's a thing we value.
That's the thing we did.
Yeah, it's a thing we did. And so it's interesting now that I'm thinking about it, is even that is a conversation most couples don't have. They just sort of fall into whatever the patterns they fall into. They kind of deal with it while they're in it, but not necessarily are like, let's establish like what we want and how we want to live this and what we think is good. So in that, and why I'm bringing it up is in our conversation, was it ever like, yeah, we can get totally S-faced every day. Like I want to pass out regularly. Sounds pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Like we wouldn't have agreed to that, right? So maybe this couple needs to have one of those like or like an establishing conversation if they never had the first sort of, I was going to say a reestablishing of that, but if they've never established it in the first place, then going back and saying, hey, wait a second, bro snake, this is maybe not what I signed up for. I didn't sign up for a husband that got S-faced every night and yelled at me or whatever he is doing. Like I didn't sign up for that. And so let's reevaluate where we're at right now and figure out what we want to do moving forward.
Excuse me.
So that would be a conversation worth having. But I want to talk about two other topics in this because I'm not going to put this all on the lady to be like, well, are you communicating your needs enough? Like number two.
Before you go to the guy, let me say what I was going to say.
I wasn't going to go to the guy, but whatever. What are you going to say?
And then you can go, ooh, it's gross. Sorry. There is this thought pervasive today, and I honestly can't imagine what it is like in private practice right now compared to how when I was mainly in private practice about the cultural norm right now is no one can tell anyone what to do or they'll get offended and hurt their feelings. And we all are just risking so much to not hurt somebody's feelings. And, oh my gosh, is that okay? Is this
right.
okay? So I look at it like this, and you do too, as evidence just by our whole marriage.
Right.
It is like if you have an employee, say that you're the boss. You started this company. You are the boss. You have a team of 5. You run.
I am.
Right.
I do.
So Well, we don't have 5 yet.
We could.
We will. We are. We do.
Okay, keep on.
We've had it forever. Anyway, say I'm running a Burger King, right? And I hire some 16-year-old kid, right, to flip burgers.
Mm-hmm.
Do they even do that? I don't know. That is like asking you as the boss saying, well, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but can you go clean the bathroom, please?
Mm-hmm.
Can you flip these burgers kind of thing? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I know if you don't want to, you can we can talk about it. You can go to, make ice cream or something, but I don't know. And then so many people are like that. So the fear that I think couples have, and I've been actually seeing this more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wait a minute, you are in a partnership.
Right.
If you don't speak up and say it, basically preaching to myself, if you don't speak up and say it, then it's just conflict avoided is conflict multiplied, right? So if I own a Burger King and I got, 3 16-year-old kids just sitting around on their iPhones the whole time, and I'm not telling them what to do, conflict avoided is conflict multiplied, then my Burger King is going to shut down in 2 seconds.
Right.
Because nothing is getting done,
Mm-hmm.
right? So for this lady and other men and women to be like, well, I don't want to hurt their feelings or this or that. It's like,
I mean, let me say it like this.
See what
It's
I'm
a job requirement is to clean the bathroom, flip the burgers, scrub the whatever down, like the fryer when you're done using it. I would say it's a marriage requirement. In my personal opinion, if you were getting drunk every night, S-faced and passing out, that does not meet my requirements for marriage.
mm-hmm.
Like mine. And I know it doesn't meet yours either, right?
Right.
So I'm not just saying it's all about me.
Some people might scoff at requirements and go, "Oh,
They might be like
you
this.
can't require." Melanie requires her, and it's not like that. It's
Get a little closer. I'll show you what require means. Idiot. That'd be funny to say.
yikes. So how about this? You can talk to your husband about his stupid drinking problem, and if it hurts his feelings, I don't care. If it makes you feel super awkward, I don't care. You're not going to get what you want unless you speak up. Like, get over the timid bullshit. I don't care. Can we cuss on the podcast still?
I don't know.
We weaning it out? We can wean it out. That's
we can
fine.
wean it out. I have a very funny story about that, though. Did you see that text that some guy sent us? It was like, hey, you guys shouldn't cuss so much on the podcast. And I was like, yeah, I actually feel really convicted about that. I wish it wasn't so darn funny, but I hear you. And he's like, fine then, cuss your stupid asses off. And I was
What?
like, what happened?
Were you a jerk? Were you rude?
No, I literally was like, oh man, I hear you, bro. Like, I totally feel convicted about that. We're going to swear less. Thanks for letting me know, but I wish it wasn't so darn funny to swear. Thanks for the whatever.
And then he swore at you.
Yes, and it made me laugh so hard, and I can't find it. But he's like, "I hope you have fun laughing your immature asses off." And I was like, okay,
What the heck?
dude.
That's
So if you hear this and you're hearing this, I don't know how that turned so weird and why you swore at me. I heard what you said.
Melanie
and
was genuine in her response.
I was being
so-
genuine. It's funny to swear. I didn't say it was right.
Right.
But anyway,
So,
here's what I don't
okay.
know. Has this person said that she talked to him about it though?
I don't know.
We'll see. So so there's like 2 other things I wanted to address, but one was let's just talk about the role of any substance in a marriage that is, like alcohol, marijuana, whatever, porn, anything that's like an addictive thing that is detracting from normal stuff, I guess. What is your thought on things like drinking? Like if these people walked into your office and they were your clients, what would you say specifically addressing the alcohol side of it? Like what insight, what facts, anything like that would you be like, hey, these are things you should probably know?
Well, there could be a ton of anecdotal research or this or studies show, blah, blah, blah. But the one main thing would be, hey, do you believe that this is affecting your current situation?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the number one questions. And then based on their answer.
But what if he's like, okay, let's role play. Hey, I'm here for my counseling. My name is Mr. MJ.
Hey, MJ.
I drink every night. My stupid wife thinks it's dumb.
Well, he didn't. Oh, well, okay.
He didn't say that. Well, he says mean things. So.
Okay, so you basically drink every night?
What? Yeah, I mean, doesn't everybody? It's not like a ton. It's not like the most.
A lot of people do drink, yes.
So then, yeah.
Okay, so tell me about a time when drinking, like you can remember, like drinking caused a big fight or anything.
Well,
like
I mean,
that.
like I don't know, because like who's Who's telling the story here, bro? Apparently a very
you're
obstinate.
Mr. Very in denial, right, client? Okay.
I mean, I've gotten into fights, but whatever.
We call this the not even pre-contemplation phase.
Oh,
There's pre-contemplation, contemplation.
enough
then-
with your
then
jargon.
action. Okay, sorry, bro. Talk to you like an 8th grader. Yo, how much sex do you have when you get drunk, bro?
All of it.
Don't you mean no? Because your wife just said no, she doesn't.
Okay, continue on. I'm the one
You're
with
the one,
method
okay.
acting, not you.
Okay, I see.
So yeah, I don't know if I fight. I don't know.
Okay, so
She's just mad about it all the time.
well, you sound kind of pissed right now. Are you drunk right now?
You are. Your mom is.
No, she's been sober. Okay, so tell me, like, if you continue this, will it get more of what you want in your relationship?
I'm
Because
not. I'm not getting what I want anyway, so that's why I drink.
Okay, so that's why you drink. Well, what came first, do you think?
I don't know. I've always drank. I mean, it's fun. She used to now, but she's a party pooper. She doesn't want to do it. Wet blanket.
Wet blanket. Do you think that her health is better because she stopped drinking?
She's mad.
No, I didn't ask that. Do you think that her health is better that she stopped drinking?
I don't know. She's just bitches all the time.
About
I didn't
what?
say that. He said that. Mr. MJ swore. I didn't swear.
Right.
What'd you ask me?
I don't know. So okay, well, tell me, what do you want? What do you want to see then?
I want her to be happy and to like me.
Okay. I think that you drinking all the time turns you into an ass, and then because
My friends don't think that.
Well, do you sleep with your friends?
Maybe.
I don't think you sleep with your wife either. Oh,
Sick burn.
sick burn, right? So, what you're doing currently right now, what would it look like if you tried to stop drinking?
Well, how long do I have to stop drinking for?
Is that something that like you're open to? Like if I tell you a number, will you go, okay, I'll do it, or you just whine about it?
Well, I mean, what's the point? Will she be happy in 30 days or 10 days or 1 week?
It doesn't matter if she's happy or not.
Yeah, that's why I'm here.
Well, then you're here for the wrong reason.
You are.
No, I'm not. This is my job.
I literally get paid for this.
Went to school for this. You're paying me for this, actually. So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So what do you want more of in your life? What do you want less of? If you want more connection with your wife, more sex, more emotional intimacy, drinking, per her story, is getting in the way. Now you can choose to ignore that and go, ooh, and keep on drinking. That's fine.
Well, why would I stop drinking? She's miserable to be around. And she doesn't even want to touch my wiener. He said that, not me.
Oh boy. Are you Ricky Gervaising
This
it now?
will be forever
Yes,
how
I
I
think
say
so.
things.
They said it. Don't get mad at me.
Mr. MJ said it. Now I'm just having to name every character.
So no, you've said a lot of things are her fault.
They are.
Like you drink because it's her fault.
She's not fun.
She's not fun, and that's her fault. Like, tell me what you might have to play in this.
Well, I wouldn't drink if she was happier.
So okay, what else wouldn't you do if it were up to her?
That's too meta. I got confused.
I do too.
What else would We're both confused as who's saying what to what and whom. So I appreciate you doing this little acting moment because people, this is how people respond when they can't see the cycle. And you use the term pre-contemplative.
Pre-contemplation.
So, that's what it was. So explain to people what that is. Pre-contemplation is a stage of not even beginning to think about.
Right. So this is in addiction using language, right? So
And Seth used to be an addiction specialist. Is that what it's called?
SUD counselor, substance use disorder.
Counselor.
Counselor, right? Sorry. Anyway, anyways, there's a phase of just nothing, which is before pre-contemplation. Like, dude, it's fine,
Right.
whatever. And a lot of people are in that mode, right? It's not a problem until it's a problem, kind of thing. And then the pre-contemplation. So they're thinking about maybe not using, maybe not drinking, maybe, and this could be in anything, right? It's, I was in a nothing phase and then a pre-contemplation phase and then contemplation and then action phase when we were deciding to stop my full-time job, right? So it's just
Those are the phases.
it's just a phase of thinking, right? But it's used in addiction language. So pre-contemplation would be something like, My wife has said something about drinking. My friends say something. Like I've thought like, oh gosh, I feel like crap the morning after. What am I doing? What's going on? But it's fine.
Right.
Right. So you're maybe thinking about it. Right. Contemplation is maybe something happens. Maybe you have a DUI. Maybe you barf or crap the bed or something crazy, you know, yell at your kids or whatnot. And then you go, oh, wait. So then you're contemplating. It's like you know, if you're going to jump off a cliff into some water or something like that.
As one does.
Talked about it with a client this morning. It's like I always think about jumping off cliffs into water. It's
Where's
fun.
that doggone cliff?
I jumped out of a tree this morning into the river. So
as one does.
Actually, my hand slipped and I fell. So
really,
that's the story. And I was naked. So anyway,
you're gonna get like a driving under
and then
the without the underwear.
Those rafters came down the river again this morning.
And you were naked and fell out of a tree?
That was about 30 minutes later, but I still saw the rafters come down. But anyway,
the King County
I get there earlier before they do.
Parks Department is gonna.
So anyway, contemplation.
Sasquatch spotted.
Yeah, nice. Look at that Sasquatch junk.
Gross.
I said Sasquatch. Anyway, then contemplation is, this would be fun. This looks like it's fun to jump off into the river.
Listen to the sentence you just said. We're on a world famous marriage podcast. You told us you jumped out of a tree, but you fell and you were nude. And Parks Department people might have seen you. And you said, look at that Sasquatch's junk. And then we went right back into, well, pre-contemplation is.
That's the
I just
flow.
had to point that out. Keep on.
It's the entertaining flow.
That was really funny.
So contemplation would be you're on top of the rock thinking, whoa, this would be cool. Can I do this? Can I? What would it be like if I actually did? You're thinking about it, like seriously thinking about it. And then of course, action phase is, you know what? I've weighed all the options. Drinking has gotten in the way of some stuff. I'm willing to take a look at this, willing to not drink. And you jump off into the water and you go, whoa, that was cool. I can do that. Okay. But a lot of people go, what? I can jump off a cliff anytime I want. I can jump off a cliff for 2 weeks in a row. It's no big deal.
Right.
Right. And of course, I'm using the analogy of drinking. Like what? I can quit anytime I want. You don't know how many young people I used to counsel and they would smoke weed all the time and be like, bro, I could stop anytime I want. I'm like, well, why don't you? Oh, I don't want to. You know?
Right.
So it's just, it's a whole line of thinking.
Right.
So then the action phase, okay, imagine a world where drinking wasn't part of your life. What would it look like? Just fantasize about it. Just like future cast. Oh, what would it be like? Oftentimes people go, well, it would suck. What am I going to do? It's going to be boring. I like having beer with a steak on a Friday date night. What am I going to drink? Seltzer and look like a wiener? You know, like seriously, this is like what you think is like, well, what do I do? What do I do when I go to parties? And then of course, anxiety kicks in around that. And then because you're in this self-fulfilling prophecy, kind of cyclical,
cycle?
Yeah.
Paradigm?
I cannot think of the therapy word for it.
Mode?
But anyway, it's you do this, then this happens, then this happens. Because that happened, you do this thing over again.
Framework?
No, I can't think of the thing.
Modality.
No, it's not that. So then you go, oh, this is too hard. Then you stop and go back to whatever it was, right? So there has to be, then in therapy, we talk about a first order or second order change. First order is just like, okay, sure, I'll try it for a week or so. Then it doesn't really sit, right? Second order, now there's a third order, which is interesting. Second order is like, oh, wait a minute, this is a better thing. And then you work around to instill habits, you know.
I would say first order is almost like you're doing it for somebody else. Like it doesn't have that deeper meaning for yourself where it's long-term, right?
Right.
Does that feel
yeah,
accurate?
you think, oh, you know what? That's a good idea. That would be preferable. I'll try it.
But I don't really need it.
Well, I'll try it. Oh, man, this is harder than I thought. I'm going to go back to whatever it was. Right? Homeostasis. Feedback.
Oh, okay.
Loop. That's what I was thinking about. Thank you, brain. And with quitting drinking, like I personally have experienced this when I was drinking way too much.
I experienced this with drinking wine at night.
I bet that you do.
Don't talk to me like that.
No, I'm serious. It's like, I mean, I'm not.
That's why I don't drink
surprised.
wine anymore at night.
Right.
Now you say a thing.
Your turn to talk. This is crazy. When I was in SUD training school, I was really learning a ton about different models of disease, drinking, drugging, all this stuff. And my brain was just going, whoa, my gosh, what? And then I actually went to a therapist and he asked me the question, what would it look like if drinking was a part of your life? And at the time, my mind was blown. Obviously, that is a very simple question.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, super simple question. Blew my freaking mind. And I was just like, I haven't even thought about that. I have no idea. I don't know what that would look like. It's scary, all this stuff, right? But I just went through the steps. I mean, not steps, but just deeply thought about it and was like, oh man, yeah, I always feel like crap after I drink way too much. And it just goes in cycles. So I would encourage this guy to really, really, really think about it. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, it's going to make you feel terrible. Yeah, you're going to go, am I doing the right thing? Am I not doing the right thing? You're going to have a zillion questions and you're going to be anxious out of your balls. It is a very hard process. And again, I don't think drinking is bad, right? But drinking, at least everywhere, it's so culturally ingrained that you not drinking is abnormal.
Mm-hmm.
You not drinking is not normal.
May I say a thing about that too that I just was thinking as you were talking about that, is that in the spheres of people that we run in now, so like the group that we've created for our own lives, and then also the group that we aspire to be in. So like we have people that we want to become friends with. If that sounds like a really weird statement, but we do, right? Like the Ed Miletts, the Lewis Howes. I want to be friends with these people. And what I've discovered, and I'm sure you have as well, is that drinking, the broness of drinking, the coolness of drinking stops in direct correlation with the amount of like self-awareness and self-actualization that you are journeying on, if that makes sense. That makes sense. So help me say that a different way. So the higher you go, the more you go on your journey, like your inner journey of self-awareness, the more you realize that, oh, drinking all the time is actually mastering me. And I need to master everything around me to have like this deeper knowing of who I am. Who's that? Russell Brand talks about that. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
I was just playing that thing for you where he talks about like reaching this level of awareness. You realize that it's not like achieving greatness in life is not being able to like do all the stuff you want to do. It's to be great without having to do any of the things you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? No drugs, no whatever. Like it's like self-actualization to the max. And what I have noticed is that the friends that we run with, alcohol is never a priority for them. Some of them will have a drink every once in a while, but never, ever, ever are they like, where's the vodka? Bring on the something, margaritas. Like it'll be like, oh, I had a daiquiri while I floated down the lazy river after I gave a talk.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sat by the hot tub. Like that's what so I don't know. All of that to say is that the sort of the measuring of coolness by how much I drink is for a subset. It's like an awareness level of people. Does that make sense? That sounds really weird to say.
It made me think, and this isn't flexing or anything.
Do it.
But it is kind of funny. Like when we've been in Nashville a zillion times, but when we went to Nashville for a very specific reason for Dave Ramsey, and we were literally drinking Dave Ramsey's like special stash of whiskey on a balcony, like cheers and glasses,
smoking cigars
with Dave Ramsey and his team. That is like, okay, yeah, you can drink, but that's not like a college bro party.
Right.
Like, look, chug. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and I imagine like drinking with Ed Miletts or so, like he has scotch and whiskey or something. Like at the Badass Husband Mastermind event over the summer, that was the first time I ever had like a scotch. No, it wasn't. It was like whiskey or something. I don't know.
I think scotch and whiskey are the same thing. One is a different version of the same thing. We've talked about this.
Bourbon. I don't know. Anyway, and cigars, right? So I was like, ugh, cigars suck. But it was that, you remember when we worked at Starbucks?
Yeah, perfect pairing
kind of thing.
Lemon loaf and a breakfast blend.
Right. It was delicious.
Nom, 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 nom.
It was great, right?
Yeah.
And so that kind of drinking is different than
Right.
let's pound some beers, you know?
Right.
And okay, I'll be honest, like say that, me and Paul did something amazing and we're like, bro, let's go get a steak and just drink, man. Then that's okay too, right? Sometimes, I mean,
which even in that scenario, you wouldn't pass out. You wouldn't get like that. You know what I mean?
no,
That I can think of. I wouldn't think you
Right.
would get like that.
no, you wouldn't get to like that.
Right.
Right. So it's
I don't know. So I guess
Okay.
all the reason that I'm saying that, the reason that I brought it up is that it bothers me on a billion different levels, but this is like 8 conversations I'm trying to have at one time. When people think the height of I've attained it, I can get wasted out of my mind and pass out in the living room and barf in my kitchen and feel like absolute butt crack the next day. I win. No, you don't. That's not the epitome of it. That is not. You've reached your height. You're stuck. You are stuck in a hole that is not going anywhere, that will lead to liver damage, that will lead to probably a divorce, right? Let's reassess and reevaluate if alcohol is more important than your marriage. Is it more important than your kids if you've got kids? Is it more important than the life that you're trying to build? Because it will take all of those things away from you.
How about this? I want this couple to be able to say this. This I say to them.
This you will say to me.
Right. If you were drinking a bottle of wine a night, which that's excessive. That's 4 glasses, right? Like, obviously that's a lot. Or even 2, and you were saying just snippy things, like you weren't yelling or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You were saying snippy things and like you just looked gross,
Right.
or whatever.
Right.
I don't know. I don't think you look gross. And I said, hey, I love you, but when you do this thing,
Right.
honestly, I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
kiss you. I don't want to take care of you. I definitely don't want to have sex with you. That's what I want. And what I want for our marriage is to have fun with you, kiss you, and have sex with you. Because I know those things are compose a good relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And your drinking is getting in the way of that. Can you acknowledge that? Or not acknowledge? Can you address that? Please.
Right. And I would even go so far for this dude, paint a picture of what you think this is going to look like in a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. You going to stop drinking in a year just for funsies?
I just asked my men's group, I was like, okay, now until Christmas, what do you want it to look like?
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of vague, which will winnow it down, right? But it's like, okay, what do you want your next 2.5 months to look like? The year is basically over. It's already 2025. What do you want it to look like, right? So, yeah, what do you want 1 year from now, 6 months from now, 2.5 months from now to look like? If you keep on drinking and doing this stuff, then you're just going to get more of the same. This thing isn't going to fix it. Like, oh, I can buy a new thing or
go on a vacation
or do this or that. That's not going to fix it. That's just a temporary Band-Aid for it. It's not the underlying thing. It's like the other thing. What is it? What does Dr. Gabor Mate says? He says something to the effect of all addictions, drugs, sex, gambling, anything, alcohol, is the effect of some sort of trauma. Now, that trauma obviously is a spectrum of like, okay, worst abuse ever to maybe you were neglected on some level as a child, or your parents said something that, made you feel like you always missed their expectations or something. Anyway, it is the some form of anxiety or something that you're trying to cover. There's like normal drinking, which actually in AA circles, you call them normies. Like, oh, she can have a drink and just 1 drink or maybe even 2 drinks and be fine and not drink again for 30 days or not even think about it. That's a normie, right? But like people with like, I'm not a normie, and a lot of people I know aren't normies kind of thing. That doesn't mean like, oh, full blown,
right.
just crazy alcoholic needs to go to treatment yesterday kind of thing. It's like, oh, wait a minute. If you have one, then you usually want another one. And then you're like, oh, this, and it's just a whole thing, right? So I would go far upstream and go, what are you dealing with maybe that you haven't dealt with, you know, and like be open to that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like the path of least resistance. Say that I have a super tall hill to climb. I'm like, oh man, that hill is going to be more uncomfortable than just walking on flat ground, right? But there's two paths, and I see one that's a little bit easier. Which one do you think I'll take?
Yeah, the easier
I'll take the easier because it makes more sense. Like biologically, it makes more sense, right? And also emotionally, it goes, oh man, I have to talk to my wife this way. I have to talk to my husband this way, or I'm stressed out and I have all this anxiety. What is the path of least resistance? Drink. Okay.
Right.
And that's what we do, right? So it's like that is. Now, I'm not saying all drinking is because like somebody, you know, didn't get love from their dad or mom or something like that. That's not it. But be willing to look deeply at that. And actually, I would diagnose people too with like alcohol abuse or alcohol dependence. There's a major difference. Like most people have like abused alcohol. Like, oh, I got way too drunk that night and like did something crazy. Oh, sheesh, right? And you've done that a couple times. But then dependence is where, that's why alcohol is so bad. Alcohol is the only drug that if you quit, you can die.
Yeah.
Seriously.
You didn't say it right.
You can die.
Die.
Like heroin, anything, you can come out of an acute episode or acute overdose with Narcan and boom, you're not high anymore, which people hate that because you're just in dreamland. You're like, whoa. Anyway, they wake up swinging kind of thing. Anyway. What was I saying with that? Oh, alcohol abuse or dependence. Most people have abused it before, and just be willing and open to look at stuff like that is what I would say. But since the wife put the question in, be like, be bold, lady. Like, be bold. It's your life. It's your marriage. Don't like pussyfoot around like, am I going to hurt his feelings? Well, it's your marriage too, just as much as
does his drinking hurt your feelings? Yeah. So don't worry. I mean, I know that sounds mean, and I would recommend
what sounds mean about it? If you were spending all the money and like, I'm like, I don't know. I think I have to take her debit card because all she does is like be stupid and spend on stupid stuff, right?
All she does is be stupid. He
says. Like Kev on stage. Anyway, then I would say, hey, I hope this doesn't hurt your feelings.
Right. Well, and let me say this. I would just recommend if you're going to have this conversation with your husband, have it with a third party present. Go to therapy. Go somewhere. Like have someone else there socially accountable to you too, because that helps bring down the like ridiculousness of these situations sometimes. Like it helps not have things escalate if that's a pattern. That's all I'm saying. Like social pressure of a counselor in the room with you is a good thing.
And also think about it this way. Also, alcohol and drugs, etc., are great coping mechanisms until they're not. Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like there's a reason.
They work until they don't.
They work until they don't. Exactly. So be ready for some pushback on that because what you're essentially trying to do, this is why it was so unbelievably even ridiculous to think that I could get like teens to stop smoking weed. You know, it's like everybody they know does it and it works and it takes their mind off stuff. Like who am I? Some old guy saying, don't smoke weed, you know, kind of thing. It's just silly. You have you can't erase but replace. So expect some amount of pushback on that. Either like, what are you talking about? I'm fine. I can quit anytime I want, or I don't need to drink, or I drink because you're this way, XYZ. It's like a big ball of yarn that needs to be untangled slowly and in multiple places.
And I want to say to Mr. MJ, if you find yourself saying things that are arguing in the defense of drinking, like, well, I should be allowed to blah, 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 you are making yourself so unattractive to your wife that you're basically digging your own grave at that point. And I'm just going to be honest. There is no woman out there who wants to hear their husband argue why they should have a vodka and cran or whatever, or a gin and something, over, I want to make our marriage better. No woman is going to be like, oh yeah, you're right. Here's your
that makes sense.
Alcoholic beverage. Have fun passing out somewhere. Like no one gives two shites about that at that point. So I'm just saying this in all honesty. If you're going to try to argue your way out of the bad behavior, so that could be smoking, it could be vaping, it could be drinking, it could be chewing tobacco, it could be porn addiction. It could be, if you're going to try to argue your way like around why it's okay, then you are arguing your way to the divorce papers. I mean, that's what you're doing, because you're saying, hey, Tito's and Coke is more important than you. Hey, this little tin of whatever the thing is you stick in your lip and it makes you do a thing is more important than you. Hey, looking at naked women online is more important than you, idiot. Like, that's what you're saying to your wife and or, this obviously it's not just men to women. It could be the other way around, but I appreciate you for talking about addiction stuff and knowing about it and being educated in that area. I think it's awesome. But to Lady MJ, I really encourage you, like Seth said. Lady J. That's a product and it's funny. But I encourage you, like Seth said, to be bold about it. This is going to hurt Mr. J's feelings, but he can shove it. He's too drunk to notice. That was rude, but it was kind of funny. So I encourage you to get a counselor. But like Seth said, this is also your life. And if you are miserable with this man, get a counselor, talk about it together. And man, if you listen to this episode, you have some serious work to do.
Yeah, do something different. Talk to some dudes about it. So I hope this is helpful. If it is, let us know.
Ooh, you made up a really good point. So do men talk about this stuff in the mastermind?
Yeah.
So should Mr. J join the mastermind, but under a pseudonym so we don't kick his ass? Seabass?
MJ, how's it going? We know your story, bro.
Oh, Mr. J.
Yeah, so go to badasshusband.com and poke around, level up.
All right. Talk to you later.
Simple.
Just okay.
A dude will get it. Hey.
Okay.
Quit effing around. Go and do something different. So, all right, guys. We love you.
Talk to you later.
Much.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Thanks for listening to Anatomy of Us. This podcast is produced by my mom, Melanie Studley, and hosted by my dad, Seth Studley. Our show is edited and published by our producer, Reba Hansen, from Creative Media Support. Special thanks to our Patreon members that get an extra episode every week. Thanks for watching. Love you. Bye.